Fee, fi, fo, fook. Today we talk about this book. Coming up next on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast, live from the Xfinity studio and presented by Bet365 and Ashley. I'm your host, former president and CEO of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, David Baker. And today on the show, a very special guest. That's right, the great Zach Berman of The Athletic, who has a book to promote. Zach, how are you? Thanks for coming in today.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. As I was saying, it's great to be on. It's great to see you again. It's great to see Julia and everyone here.
Have you been here before?
I have. I was going to start this off by saying, as I was saying a few months ago, right? But no, this is great.
That's a nice jacket. Maybe one day it'll be gold.
Oh,
You'll get a knock on the door from me.
I can only hope so. To be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day, the writers' wing.
All right, much to get to on the show today. We'll hear from Mina Kimes of ESPN, who joined Bo Wolf, who could not be here today. We'll see that. And we're going to discuss the state of the Philadelphia Eagles. But let's hammer in on the book here, Zach. And for the Eagles fans who may not know, give them a little bit of a breakdown of what's involved in Leap Year. A tremendous accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you, Bo, or David. David, okay. I'm curious to see if this goes on the entire show. So this book, Leap Year, takes you behind the scenes of the Super Bowl season, but it's more than just the Super Bowl season. It is from the time the red confetti fell in February 2023 to the time the green confetti fell in 2025, and you see how the team was put together. You get into the collapse of the 2023 season, because I don't think you can tell the story of 2024 without setting that context. And Nick Sirianni said as much. And this I'm excited to talk about it today. But it takes you behind the scenes and also brings you under the helmet
Under the helmet, nice.
of a lot of the key players. So there are 10 cutaway chapters, if you will, on Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Lane Johnson, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Carter, Zach Bond, and Darius Slay, and it gives you a chance to get to know who these people are besides their accomplishments on the field.
So certainly you have been following the people involved here for a very long time. As you went through the writing process, did you learn anything that you didn't expect as you were going through this?
Yeah, good question. Well, first off, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that PHLY was a major part of this book, right? I wrote this while I was here.
Well, certainly your attention must have been distracted and split during that period.
Well, I was asked recently at an event what the biggest difference was between writing this book and the book in 2017, Underdogs, which is also available wherever books are sold. Well, actually, I don't think that one's available wherever books are sold. This one is. So the big difference is I was doing a daily show during this, and I also have 2 kids during this as well. But doing a daily show was the biggest difference between now and then. But really, when I look at what I learned about the team, it was how much in the off and look, when you're talking about it every day like we were, and writing about it often as well, it's some of it that you already know, but how some of the things that happen you didn't expect. You know, you think back to the linebacker transactions, and I have a period, or I have a chapter in here where I talk about that offseason period. And the signing of Zach Bond, for instance, was not heralded at the time to be defensive player of the year candidate. And Devin White actually received more of the attention at the time. And even if you
You
go
liked
back,
a Devin White, if I remember correctly.
I did. I did, and I stand corrected there, or sit
One
corrected.
day I thought I might be knocking on his door as well. After that rookie season, my, what a player!
Well, he's still playing, so you never know. But that, and I'll say this, and this is kind of a pitch to the readers, but it's also the reality of these types of books, is that oftentimes what you find is when someone writes a book about a season or a team years later, they begin their reporting then. They go back, and all the conversations are recollections. And it's fundamentally different if you're there in the moment, right? So what you're getting here is raw, in the moment emotion reaction. So as an example, if you think about, let's say, week 4 last year after they lose to Tampa Bay, if you talk to someone after the season, they would say, you know, this was a turning point, and the bye week the bye week was this catalyst. At the time, emotions were high. We all remember that Cleveland game. We remember. I remember doing the shows here, going into that Cleveland game, and what the tenor of the fan base was. So I think being able to capture what the moment was like at the time was important, but you also have the benefit of knowing how the story ended. So the comparison I give, and I hope I'm not giving any spoilers here, but it's like seeing The Sixth Sense a second time. Like, if you know how that movie ended, then you can put all these different pieces together along the way. So I was able so I was able to go back along the way and put all these different pieces together.
So I want to get more to the book, but it is an interesting thing to think about relative to this Eagles season, and I want to compare them a little bit. Do you feel like that inflection point has happened for the 2025 Eagles?
So, and this goes back to the previous answer, is that it's easier to identify an inflection point after the fact than during it. I actually think EJ did an awesome job.
Makes it more of a reflection point.
Yes, well said. But EJ was saying after the mini bye,
I like that guy.
He's outstanding. Outstanding co-host.
Big fan of that guy.
Yes, outstanding co-host. So EJ was saying that, like, the Eagles were trying to will the bye week, or the mini bye rather, as an inflection point, and that very well might be the case. But I do think that the Eagles have made material changes, or noticeable changes. In particular, if you just look at the way this offense is functioning, and you've chronicled on the show with going more under center.
Who?
And
EJ?
EJ and Bo.
I like that guy too.
Bo's outstanding.
He scares me a little though.
Outstanding. And I was watching yesterday's show. Terrific French.
Hello.
I did.
I call them freedom fries, I'd say.
I didn't understand the first 2.5 minutes of the show, but it was terrific French.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious if this is going to be going on and on and on for the entire show. So
I'm the host today. I don't understand.
I have seen the change in the offense, the way they played these last 2 weeks, the Giants game in particular. I certainly think it should give fans reason for optimism. And one thing, and Jeffrey Lurie talks about it in this book, is how the first the first month of the season has really become an extension of the preseason. And I know fans don't like to hear it, and it can sometimes be used as a rationalization for underperformance. But we saw it come to fruition last year, and that very well might be the case this year, because, you know, when talking to people behind the scenes at the Eagles, one of the things that you're hearing is that they need to get a sense of how teams are playing them. Teams are playing them differently this year than they were last year. So you get a large enough sample size, and you can adjust accordingly. So offensively, I have seen that. And then defensively, I just think the personnel is going to be better the second half of the year. Certainly they get PHLY's Brandon Graham back, who also wrote
that guy.
He wrote the foreword for this book. I'm ever grateful to Brandon for that. But terrific show, and terrific. He's lucky to work with Bo every day, if I can say that. Or
agreed.
Or I should say once a week. But the I think getting Nolan Smith back is going to be critical to them, especially when you look at the edge rushers. Jacorian Bennett, someone I think internally they have optimism about. He was playing ahead of Keely Ringo before the injury, so we'll see if he factors into the mix. The trade deadline, of course, is next week, but Nakobe Dean has made a noticeable effect on the defense these past 2 weeks, and especially last week against the Giants. So you have more pieces. I do think we can look back at an inflection point being that mini bye, but for different reasons than it was a year ago.
Well, give yourself a little credit here as someone who has followed your work. You were preaching patience last season when Nick Sirianni was shaving his head and yelling at the fans and saying that the team had the talent to overtake some of their blips in the road. Do you feel like they have that same potential upside this year?
Oh, absolutely. Even more so. I would feel more confident in the Eagles upside this year than I did a year ago. And I was preaching patience a year ago. I just think when you have the talent, especially on the line of scrimmage, that the Eagles had a year ago, and the overall talent that they have this year, that over the course of the season, it will. It'll rectify. You'll become who you are, and I feel that way now. Is that if their best ball is behind them, I'm sorry, if their worst ball is behind them and their best ball is ahead of them, and they're 6-2 right now, that's a great situation. Now, the schedule is daunting. You come out of the bye with Green Bay, then Detroit. I mean, those are behemoths. But I absolutely look at this and say there's no reason why the Eagles shouldn't be considered bona fide Super Bowl contenders. And I would also tell, if Eagles management's watching this show and if Howie wants to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame,
Hey, my man. What's up, bro?
I would say that's reflected. I would imagine
campaign contributions, by the way.
I'm staying far away from that joke. That's reflected, I think, in the tenor and the spirit of the coverage. Is that the Eagles aren't evaluated like the Jacksonville Jaguars; they're evaluated like the defending Super Bowl champions. Is that the curve you're graded upon is as a team with Super Bowl aspirations, not as a team we're just making the playoffs. Is what the objective is.
Well said. All right, with that, let's take our first commercial break. On the other side, we'll hear from another familiar friend. We'll continue discussing leap year, and later in the show, Mina Kimes of ESPN. If you think this show is ordinary, you're right. What's not ordinary? Bet365. Because they've got 90 million users worldwide and they live stream over 780,000 events each year with early payout offers across the NBA and NHL. I never thought in my day we'd be talking about betting on the NFL, but here we are. Coming up on Thursday night, you've got a $10 safety net bet thanks to the good folks at Bet365 and the Thursday night touchdown. Breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $300 in bonus bets when you bet $5 win or lose. Sign up. Use the code PHLY365. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $300 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary. At Bet365, must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And I'll tell you about our friends, of course, at Xfinity. Because the other day I was over at Harold Carmichael's house, as you do as a pro football ex-Hall of Famer, and I said to Harold, "What are we doing? I can't see the game, Harold." He hadn't even turned on the TV yet, but the problem was lagging, buffering, all that stuff. He fan-fished me, that guy. And now, I say, Xfinity is the perfect fan flex. You get all the action right in your living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. So next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box. Okay, we're back on the PHLY Eagles podcast. It's time now for the big deal presented by Cherry Hill Jeep. Beep, beep. Who got the keys to the Jeep? Here's my question for you.
Okay. Is your arm starting to hurt?
If you were to write this book today instead of in the off season, which of the individual chapters do you think would be the most different?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Thank you.
I think AJ Brown's chapter would need to take on a bit more nuance, to use that term, than the way it was written, because I think that he's added more layers to his career during the past few months, and I don't think AJ would deny that. Now, I think the story of this year is yet to be written, but that
Like
would
Natasha Bedingfield, my big fan of hers. The rest is still unwritten.
I feel like EJ. I don't know who that is. That's not a shot at EJ, by the way.
Stare at a blank page before
Okay.
you open up the dirty window, let the sun illuminate. You know, oh, we would play that all the time. It's the theme song of Canton, Ohio.
Okay. So, anyways, so yeah, so I think AJ's chapter, the Slay chapter, that's kind of that's finished in Philly, right? He's not coming back. Now, there's not a chapter on Brandon Graham, and perhaps there should have been a chapter on Brandon Graham. I only had 10 of these cutaway chapters, but certainly in the epilogue of the book, it talks about Brandon retiring, and he has since unretired. So
change a sentence at least.
So I would need to update that. Maybe Saquon a bit, but we'll see how the season goes. But the succinct answer to your question is AJ Brown. Although, as I'm saying it, the Jalen Carter chapter, look, he got ejected from the season opener for spitting on an opponent. So that might be something that would need to just kind of be cataloged as part of the Jalen Carter story.
So, what is your sense of the AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts dynamic? Because I dare say no one has a better pulse of Jalen Hurts than you among the Eagles media corps. What's your sense of what's going on there?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that it doesn't take a relationship counselor to see that this is not the same relationship that it was
and
a
yet
few
during
years
his
ago.
press conferences, it feels like you often act as his relationship counselor.
I try to learn more about him, but like, you know, if you're asked about your relationship with someone, and it's what we talk in meetings, right? I mean, I always use the analogy of, if you apply this to your marriage, how would it sound? So if you think last year about, and this is chronicled in the book, not my marriage, but the
who's the CEO and who's the COO of that relationship?
I think I am neither, honestly. I just think I am a grateful participant.
We should say, by the way, you are a guest weekly on the Ringers Philly special.
Yes.
Check that out wherever you listen to your podcast.
I appreciate that. If you think back to Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, that dynamic, and, you know, Jalen says we have our moments, right? Then, you know, if you were to use that in your relationship, you'd be like, that doesn't sound very positive. And so if you say, well, we talk in meetings, that probably doesn't reflect very positively on it. But I also don't think, and please don't take this the wrong way, audience, I see I'm progressing. I caught myself before I said it. I don't think you have to love everyone that you work with. That's not applicable in this case, but I'm saying in the case of
nor make love.
Yeah.
Although in my case, it's not so bad.
But
listen, you walk through those busts in the Hall of Fame and try to make it through without feeling some kind of way.
I'm staying away from that one. I think Jalen and AJ, though, are actually wired similarly in that they both want to be great. Now, I think the itinerary to great looks a little different. And I think that AJ, and he said this, and there's a great piece today in The Athletic by my colleague Brooks Cabina about this too.
Cabena.
Did I get it wrong?
I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. By Brooks. Okay. I apologize. I only need to write these days, so. So in Brooks's case, I'm really looking at AJ, and AJ there's some legacy chasing there, and appropriately so. I think AJ Brown can be one of the great players to ever play the game. Like he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory.
Oh, don't you know
to incorporate David Baker into here?
He right here. You don't have to.
Okay, yeah.
Say my full name.
And so AJ had to sacrifice a lot to win, and I think part of what he sacrificed is his personal success. And so if you're watching that show and you say, "Come on, Zach, don't say that," he's a 3-time All-Pro or 3-time second-team All-Pro since he was a 1,400-yard receiver. Like, he hasn't had to sacrifice much. I think he can be even better if he's targeted. If you just look last season, the season that's chronicled in a leap year, the usage rate had to take a step back because the Eagles were running the ball a lot more. But I think the two can and should coexist.
What is the barrier to them burying the hatchet?
I can't definitively say that, but I think that if at the end of the day, if you win football games, like that's what matters, and AJ just wants to be a big part of them winning football games as well, and it's like fundamental to the different positions. Jalen touches the ball in every play. Jalen's in complete control. AJ's at the I don't want to say the behest of somebody, but he's at the will of someone getting him the ball. So it's the nature of the jobs, like the rules of engagement, if you will, or the terms of engagement are a bit different. But the Eagles are a better team with AJ Brown than without him. And Howie Roseman's watching the show. I would tell Howie that
Howie dog.
that if the Eagles were to trade AJ Brown, their Super Bowl odds would take a major hit now. So I don't see the Eagles doing that, nor do I think. Now we'll see what happens this offseason, but I think during the season that's not something I would see.
That'll do it for the big deal. And with that, before we keep going with our discussion of Leap Year, which is available wherever books are sold, and also just in your DMs, right? People can just reach out to you?
Yeah, drop into my DMs and on Instagram at Z_Berman, on Twitter X at ZBerm, or you can email me, zberman@theathletic.com, and we'll work out a way to get you a book.
Let's talk shop there, because that's when you make the most money, right? If you sell it directly.
I didn't see that question coming.
Well, if people want to make sure,
absolutely.
If people want to buy your book and make sure you get the biggest cut, that's the way to do it.
I actually, my wife's watching right now, so she appreciates that you said that. Yeah, the way that
they want to support you.
Yes. Yeah, me sending you a book is probably most beneficial.
They don't need Bezos cutting off $1.50 from the cost.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I don't want to say that. I'm grateful.
Though,
I'm grateful if you buy it. I'm grateful if you buy it anywhere.
All right. With that, we do want to send it to overseas. Are we back? We're back. Are we able to send it overseas, do we think? Or should we continue our conversation? Okay, let's hear from another person that works for PHLY.
Bonjour, everybody. I know it's breaking my heart that I'm not there during the bye week to talk about all these different Eagles topics, but obviously, greetings from Paris. I'm going to do some videos, make sure I make some content, see if I can maybe expense this trip. You never know. But I know you guys are going to be in good hands while I'm away. And don't worry, even though this is a vacation, I'm still here thinking about Cam Latu and the role that he really deserves in the Eagles offense. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy the show today. And yeah, I'm going to give you guys a couple more updates. I'm going to be putting PHLY stickers on things around Paris and more to come. So enjoy the show today, guys. Bye.
Like that guy.
Great guy, terrific reporter. Awesome job as you know, the the show's gotten better. He's been terrific. Also, I give him credit too because, as I said, my wife's watching. EJ found a way to go to Paris. I was scheduled to go to Paris twice when I worked here, and I had backed out both times. So I give credit to EJ because he's getting it done in the studio and outside the studio. It's an awesome job.
No, there are a lot of people watching this show who, when they see you, they want to know how you're doing.
Yeah.
Because they've followed you for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sleeping more in this new job? Do you feel a little bit less stressed out?
So first off, I appreciate it, and I would say I miss certainly the audience, the sickos. I appreciate it. I'm in the Discord. I'm watching the shows, reading the comments, and I miss everyone in the studio. It's great to see Julia. Great to meet Lindsay. Seeing Jamie and Rich. You go on down the list.
But on your toes.
So yeah. So I am not. I'm sleeping a little bit better. The season. I'm still working. Like I'm still covering the team pretty intensely. And so that part hasn't changed. Like the show wasn't at night. So actually, my sleeping post game got a little bit better when I left the job previously to come here because we weren't doing those late night pods. Right now, I'm not doing.
We.
Bo and me.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as stress, first off, I think stress is good. I think distress is bad. So you want to be stressed. You know, if you're not stressed, you get complacent, and complacency scares the crap out of me. So yeah, my wife would say that I'm still stressed per se, but I think that the key for me has just been like the allocation of time and the cadence of the schedule. I'm in more control of my time. I'm able to make calls a lot more, and during the day, that's been so the lifestyle's been different in that regard.
I think we're all happy to hear that.
I appreciate that, but the downside is that I don't get to see all the great people here every day, and I miss that.
Well, I know it is the great shame of your life that you're not able to be in two places at once.
It is actually the biggest challenge of my life. I still haven't figured that out. Is how do I get to be in two places at once?
So would you be like the first one to sign up for cloning technology?
Well, I would need to know how that would specifically work because, like, it's not the same brain, is it? Right? It's not so.
What if it was?
Yeah, I mean, I would love if it could be like in Saved by the Bell, right, where you time out and then you get there. You know, you get to go to two scenes. That would be ideal.
But.
Yeah, but then the scene resumes.
Yeah, it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, I haven't quite been able to figure this out.
I mean, if you could create a situation, what would it be?
If I could create a situation? Yeah, to be in two places at once and be able to kind of report back to like the
hive mind.
Yes, exactly, and to kind of combine it all into one. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Or like being Clark Kent, Superman, right? If you're able to become Superman and jet to the show and jet back to the studio or jet back to the press conference, that would be ideal as well. Okay,
back to the book. We're here to push product.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
We're here to push product. You have written about this Super Bowl championship team.
Yeah.
You've written about the 2017 Super Bowl championship team. How is this version better or more impressive than the previous?
So I appreciate this question because it's actually something I've thought about, but I haven't specifically been asked this. And the first book, the 2017 book, was about a lot more than that team winning the Super Bowl. It was the weight off the shoulders. So I really gotten a lot into there was the whole backstory there, Jeffrey Lurie buying the team. There was Howie's whole backstory. Like so much of that story in 2017 was about more than what happened that year. This book's really about this, the 2024 team and then also the 2023 collapse is in there as well. But I think that when you look at the two teams, the 2024 team was just so much more talented. Like that's clear. I heard Jason Kelsey, he has a podcast. He probably wants some people watching that thing.
How many times in a row mentioning Jason Kelsey do you think you've made that joke?
Probably every time. It's it's a terrific show. So yeah, so
They've never had me on.
David Baker or Bo Wolf.
I'm David Baker.
Okay, you're Dave. Well, I would prefer to hear.
You're going to the Hall of Fame.
I'm still curious why the audience, or like, if the audience is watching this, if they understand what the joke is here.
What joke? My life is a joke to you?
No, not at all. Yeah, so the 2024 team was so talented, and Jeffrey Lurie, and he's quoted about this in the book. It might be one of the best teams of all time when you just look at.
Do you believe that?
I do. I do. When you look at the overall body of work, when you look at the way they steamrolled through the postseason, when you look at the margin of victory in the Super Bowl, I mean, when you look at the way they were playing the end of the year, it's extraordinary. And by the way, and the 2017 team might push back on me if I say this, if the Eagles and Patriots played 10 times that year, or let's just say there's a 7-game series, I'm not sure the Eagles win. I mean, I think now I thought I picked the Eagles to win that game in 17 because of the lines of scrimmage, and I probably lose credibility now saying like, well, look at the coaching that the Patriots had because that's kind of waned a bit. But those teams were much more even than I just think the 2024 team was so much more talented than the 2024 Chiefs. And there's a reason why the Eagles ran away with that game. But I think that was a big difference. And really the star power, the composition of the roster, the Eagles, if you say who are the Eagles Hall of Famers on that 2017 team. Okay, Malcolm Jenkins is going in this year.
Got my ears perking up.
Yeah. Oh, I see Hall of Fame. Malcolm Jenkins, certainly. Brendan Graham, certainly. Fletcher Cox, certainly. Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey. I don't know if Brandon Brooks will get in. He'd be an interesting conversation about it. And then Nick Foles, almost, from his significance in the franchise, but not career achievement there. But
Jason Peters, if you're counting in
yes,
guys.
yes. Jason Peters. But if you look at
Jake Elliott.
That's a good one, actually. I've never thought about that. Yeah, Jake Elliott will certainly be there at some point.
Donnell Ellerby.
No, not Donnell Ellerby.
What?
But you had some good pieces on Donnell Ellerby.
I've never written about Donnell Ellerby in my life.
Or Bo Wolf did, rather. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles have, last year they had 9.
That's a lot of guys.
They had 9 Pro Bowl caliber players on the offensive side of the ball last year. And so I'm not suggesting Dallas Goedert. Well, and by the way, Zach Ertz. Yeah, Zach Ertz will be an Eagles Hall of Famer.
He's going to be pissed.
No. Trust me, I don't think anyone's written about Zach Ertz as much as I have. And so
no wonder he's going to be pissed.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm finished writing about Zach Ertz. I'll put it that way.
Weird flex.
Well, just please read my work at theathletic.com or on your app. So I think that just the Eagles had 9 Pro Bowl caliber players on offense last year. They had the offensive player of the year. They had a defensive player of the year candidate in Zach Bond. When you look at, they have blue chip players at all 3 levels of the defense. That team was loaded. So I just think last year's team was better. They were nobody's underdog, even though they were the underdog in the Super Bowl. But if you watch the speeches the night before the game, and that's actually chronicled in this book. Yeah, Saquon Barkley was adamant that like the Chiefs can't F with them, right? I mean that they are that team went into that game believing they were going to win.
Can I ask you a writing question?
Please, I love writing questions.
You mean answering questions about writing?
Yes.
I think that's the first time we've heard Lindsay laugh.
It won't be the last time because both.
How was writing this book different than writing your previous 2 books?
Yeah. Great question. And I feel like the audience here knows a bit of my personal life, right? So
more than you'd like.
More than I like. So my first book, we had 1 kid at the time, and Reed was, he was a year old, not even then. And I was at the Inquirer. So I was writing a newsletter at night and doing stories during the day. But I had more flexibility with my time, number one, and number two, the Eagles were very quiet that offseason. The 2018 offseason, they didn't have a first round, or they didn't have a second round pick. They had a first round pick, no second round pick. They ended up trading. The draft didn't have the same type of attention. Free agency was a little more muted than this past year. I remember having a little more time to write then. This past year, I was just at a different stage of life. You know, my kids at the time were 7 and 6. And so I was very active at home in that regard. And, you know, I was doing a show daily. The cadence at the offseason at PHLY is not much different than the cadence during the season. The only difference is you don't go into the facility, but you're still here physically every day. I was doing all my writing in the morning and at night. Now, fortunately, I had some flexibility with writing for allphly.com at the time. So admittedly, my volume probably wasn't the same as it was in 2017 at the Inquirer, but I was still, you know, I was still knee deep in the draft. I was knee deep, or I'd say more than knee deep. I was like, I'm not very tall, so I was buried in draft coverage. I mean, I could tell you, you know, 200 players in that draft. Fortunately, working with Fran, working with Fran helped quite a bit. And then you know, same thing with free agency. The free agency show was as much fun as I had last year. But I would say that the time that I allocated to writing, I was much more efficient with my time in 2018. I'm sorry, in 2024. I also had a proof of concept. Like I knew how to do it.
That's what I'm less about the time allocation.
Oh, okay.
And more about
I'm sorry. I wish you interjected there. Yeah. So I had a Google spreadsheet, and I had to get to 80,000 words. The book came in at 88,000. But I had to do 50, you know, so I had a spreadsheet of 9 days on, 1 day off. So the 1 day off would be a day that I would go back and read the previous 9 days. And I had a word count that I had to hit every day. So some days was 1,500 words. Some days was 2,500 words. Some days might be 1,000 words. But I would make sure that I would hit my words or exceed my words. And if ever I fell behind, you know, you have to catch up the next day.
You ever just write down some words just to get to your word count?
No, never. But admittedly, sometimes there'd be a big block quote that was like, all right, this 250 word quote is going to help me out in this day.
Who's the most helpful person to quote when you need a lot of words?
Nick Sirianni. yeah, definitely Nick Sirianni. And
by the way, I saw your tweet the other day after Sirianni's press conference. Felt like about as mean a thing as I've ever seen you write about somebody.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think I was mean. I thought that was accurate.
I thought it was your version of ether.
So
I'm very hip.
I wait, my version of what?
Ether.
What does that mean?
You look it up.
Is that something I should know, Julia?
No, I mean ether.
Ether? Should I know that? I don't know. My kids are really into 6'7".
6'7".
Yeah.
I'm cool.
Yeah, it's about LaMelo Ball.
A diss track.
It's about LaMelo Ball, actually.
I'm aware. I'm cool.
Okay. So the writing process was I would make sure that I would hit those words each day. So the tweet you're referring to, I said I wrote about the topics because I like to give updates on what Nick Sirianni says in his press conference. The topics Nick Sirianni did not want to address, and it even included giving out a cowbell in the locker room, which the team put out in the team video. So you would think that if you put it out in video, you want people to know about this, ostensibly. But Nick Sirianni did not want to go there, and that's his prerogative. But yeah, I did all my writing early in the mornings or late at night. And I was lucky, to have great employees and great boss that I was working for, and that really helped as well.
Okay, time to take a break. Hear from some sponsors. On the other side, we'll be joined by Mina Kimes of ESPN. She talks to Bo Wolf, who is definitely not here today. The mattress free-for-all sale is happening now at Ashley Furniture. Sleep better without me in your dreams and with interest-free financing for up to 60 months. Save up to 50% on Nectar and Dream Cloud. Get free pillows with Beauty Rest and free base upgrades on select mattresses. Score free gifts with Tempur-Pedic and Serta, plus doorbuster bundles starting at $199 for queen-size mattresses. Enjoy free 10-year extended warranties on Tempur, Stearns & Foster, Beautyrest Black, and Atlantic Bedding. Don't miss these incredible deals only at Ashley Furniture. And then, if you've been looking for a Jeep or Ram truck, there's only one dealership in South Jersey who has been the market leader since 1967. And when I'm hungry, I head on over to Cherry Hill Jeep to eat a car. But you might want to drive one. CherryHillJeep.com has you covered on the best selection, but more importantly, the best prices. So right now, take advantage of 0% for 60 months on 2025 Grand Cherokee L3 Row, or 0% for 72 months on 2025 Ram 1500. The offer ends soon. Stop in today. Tell them PHLY sent you and receive $1,000 off any new care and an additional $2,000 for your trade-in. I know people buy Jeeps and Ram trucks elsewhere. I just don't know why. Drive home in your new Jeep or Ram truck today, just minutes from all bridges, or available online 24/7 at cherryhilljeep.com. Worry about the bridges, because I might pop out under and say boo! This Saturday, Ashley Furniture in Bensalem is having a tailgate party and savings event. Save 15% off all Ashley Furniture, plus you could win up to $10,000 in furniture prizes. And don't miss a free meet and greet with your favorite Birds players, Brandon Graham, Jahan Dotson, and Jahad Campbell. Bring the whole family for music, face painters, refreshment, and more. The fun starts at noon, and you must be present to win this Saturday at Ashley Furniture in Bensalem. Don't miss it.
All right, welcome back to the PHLY Eagles podcast, and it's time for our bi-weekly check-in with Mina Kimes of ESPN and the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny. And Mina, I like how these are working out, because every 2 weeks we're in a much different situation with the Eagles. Last time we talked, I believe the Kevin Patullo was in your in-laws' sights as like, this guy needs to go. Since then, you have Jalen with a perfect passer rating in Minnesota, and then the best Eagles performance offensively in the last 2 years against the Giants. Has Mr. Patullo been cleared of all the charges as far as your in-laws are concerned?
I think he's still on thin ice. With me, I thought he called his best game of the season against New York. I was really impressed, and I actually think it's funny, right? Because obviously AJ Brown didn't play, but I think the balance that they achieved in that game is probably what makes it the most impressive to me, because there's been games where they've had a good half. There's been games where the passing attack has looked good. But this is a game where I felt like everything was finally clicking, felt the most like watching the Eagles offense last year. So if I'm an Eagles fan, I'd be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was the under center play action. It was we got a running back screen. We're thrown over the middle of the field. Like all of these things where it had felt like there was one game where they did one of those things, or one game where they did another one of those things. All of it put together, it made you feel like, okay, maybe this offense can be elite in a way that reflects the talent that they have on offense.
Yeah, the middle of the field aspect, I think, is really important, because I was thinking about this, and we've talked about like kind of the landscape of the NFC. I was thinking about it vis-a-vis the 49ers, who could be a team that the Eagles maybe face in the first round of the playoffs. I don't know. And I was watching Houston versus them, and CJ Stroud just ripped them up over the middle of the field because they don't have Fred Warner anymore. The prior week, they faced the Falcons, who, frankly, similar to the Eagles up to this point, do not use the middle of the field, and they were not able to take advantage of the Niners' weakness at linebacker because of it, and it was a bad performance. And I think, looking in advance, I think that's what you want to see from the Eagles. It's not like they have to do the same thing every game. It's not like they have to run the ball well in every game, or throw over the middle of the field in every game, or use play action every game. But you want to have those tools in your arsenal so that when you're up against a team in the playoffs, say, where that's their weakness, you want to be able to exploit that weakness. So I think just showing that they can do it is really important when you think about it from a matchup perspective.
And how about the running game? Because obviously so much of this season was about trying to find what worked last year, and then they explode for 274 yards on the ground. And listen, it's not a very good Giants defense, but just to see them doing some of those things, what seemed different to you?
Well, it was a lot of duo. I'm sure you guys have talked about that, I imagine, but that was pretty stunning. I have to think that's probably the most duo run, certainly this year, that I've
For
seen
them, for
out of
sure.
yeah. But yeah, it's been interesting watching as they've like continue adding a little bit like layers and layers to the 6 offensive lineman stuff, and then expanding it, and now we've got more of a play action passing attack. And this last week felt like, okay, cool, let's get in these looks and then let's run downhill. And you know, it made sense again, going back to what I said about matchups against the Giants defense, where their defensive backs are not very good tacklers. That's the kind of run scheme you want to run against them. And I also think it's something that Saquon Barkley is very good at. You know, so much of what he does or what he did earlier in the season with the outside zone is moving laterally, but I think you really want to get him going downhill. So I think it played to his strengths. It felt like the first time all season long where the Eagles were controlling the line of scrimmage. And yeah, it was obviously led to some pretty explosive runs, which is cool to see.
All right, so here's my big picture question for you as the Eagles sit at the bye. So on offense, the Eagles are 9th in EPA per drive, 19th in success rate. On defense, 13th in EPA per drive, 21st in success rate. So of those two sides of the ball, which one are you more confident will be better in the second half of the season?
Oh, that's funny. Well, I think the defense is going to be better because they're either going to get Nolan Smith back and he's going to look like himself, or they're going to trade for a pass rusher. I feel I would be surprised if they didn't. One of those two things, right? And if they trade for one, that might betray, or not betray, but like shed some light on how, how they view Smith coming back from the injury. But the Eagles' defense, to me, they're still very good, but they really need help at pass rush. And one would think that they would take steps organizationally to improve that. So it feels like a safer bet maybe to just improve by, because I don't think the offense is going to add any players. That said, it does feel like the offense is starting to figure things out. So I suspect, to be honest, I think we're going to see improvement from both units.
Okay.
But I think with the offense, like it's been boom or bust. And I think with the defense, it's actually been a little bit more stable. They just need that extra gear.
So on defense, then you would go edge rusher over a corner if you were making a Howie trade?
More likely to get an edge rusher. That's
sure.
why. Yeah, like I would love a corner, but the problem is half the league needs cornerbacks right now. It's slim. I'm sure you guys have like looked into who might be available. It's pretty slim pickings, man.
I got a couple either ors for you later, but yeah.
Okay. Whereas I actually think there's some pretty decent pass rushers who might be available both at the premium and like kind of the mid-tier range. So I think at that position, the Eagles are more likely to add an impact player. Although I'm sure Eagles fans would say, we don't need an impact corner. We just need a competent corner, which maybe they can find one.
Right. Yeah, this is where this is Brandon Graham erasure. You're forgetting about BG getting back into the fold for the Eagles.
Podcast life is too hard. I get it.
Listen, he spent too much time with me. He needed to get back on the field. All right, I'll give you some of those now. Then
Okay.
Let's go pass rusher first. If you are the Eagles, and then considering the price that likely is going to come with these guys, would you rather go for Jermaine Johnson or Bradley Chubb?
Ooh. Chubb's been better. I actually don't think Chubb would be that expensive because he's older in the contract. So that would probably be my preference as a player. Obviously, the devil is in the details in terms of competition. So Bradley Chubb over Jalen Phillips, because I feel like Jalen Phillips.
Now I feel like that one is maybe too expensive.
Yeah. I think Chubb, he could still play. He still looks. Yeah.
And then you think Jalen Phillips, like, would Jalen Phillips be worth a 2 in your mind?
And you got to pay him because he's on the last year of his. A 2 is probably a little bit rich. Don't the Eagles have 2 3s? Am I wrong?
They have 3 3s.
Oh man.
Yes.
Throw 3s out.
Yeah. Howie's. I mean, there's no way Howie's getting to the deadline with all 3 of those 3rd round picks. But it is also interesting when you think about the big picture stuff for this roster, because the weighting of resources on offense and defense is so different in terms of the timing, where next year you're going to pay Jalen Carter. After that, you're going to pay Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and, maybe Jahad Campbell eventually. Whereas eventually, like AJ and Devontae and these big offensive linemen, they have to flip that to younger guys. And so someone of the like Jalen Phillips time frame to me is like I don't know if I want to pay a mid-career guy joining the rest of them, but we'll see what they do. All right, corner. I will give you Alontae Taylor from the Saints, or do you think about adding a nickel like Michael Carter from the Jets and then moving Cooper DeJean to the outside?
Yeah, I remember you and I talked very early in the season about me not wanting to move Cooper outside,
Right.
but
And I don't think they want to either, but
yeah,
it might
it
be
might be.
easier to find a nickel than an outside guy.
I actually think it is easy. You saw McCreary move from
Right.
Tennessee, who I thought he would have been a nice player for the Eagles, to be honest. Man, I don't know if either of those. I mean, I don't think either of them will be expensive. So honestly, either is probably fine.
You're not a huge Alontae Taylor fan? We've
I
got people
mean-
here who are just banging the table for Alontae Taylor.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if the bar is competent corner play, then at least
Yeah.
you can probably get that with him relative to what you've been getting. So I'd love for them to leave Cooper DeJean at nickel, personally.
I think we all do. It's just fun to watch him there. All right, last one in the either ors, a tight end, which is becoming less of an obvious need since they're leaning into the Fred Johnson stuff. But Mark
Yeah.
Andrews or Chigo Okonkwo.
I want them to get some blocking tight end for like nothing, who's no one's ever heard of.
Let's bring Jack Stoll back. That's what everybody is waiting for the parade.
Every week around the NFL, I'm watching like the Broncos or Commanders or whatever, and I'm like, who is that? And it's always some blocking tight end. I was watching Patriots tape, and I don't know why I didn't notice that they had converted, that they used Westover as a fullback essentially, who was the Huskies tight end. That's the kind of guy the Eagles need. They need a tight end who can just get in there and block and catch one pass a year, and no one knows his name outside of Philadelphia. That's the kind of player that I want for the Eagles. We don't Mark Andrews, sure, luxury, but I want like a really gritty, unknown blocking tight end.
This is like a pet peeve of mine that they went through the entire offseason and didn't just sign an undrafted rookie tight end who could block, but
they seem to have like finally accepted that they can't run out of those legs.
Right,
so.
exactly. Which maybe this is the message that Howie wanted to send all along. He wanted Fred Johnson on the field, and the coaching staff just needed to figure it out at his behest. Any final thoughts on just where the Eagles stand relative to the rest of the NFC at the halfway point? Because it certainly seems like this conference is much deeper than the AFC at the moment.
It definitely is. So every week I've been doing these top fives on my show, Instagram, Mina Kimes Show. Go check it out. We're on Instagram now.
Good plug.
I have not put the Eagles in there, but spoiler alert, Eagles fans, they will be in the top five, NFL, not NFC, this week. You could tune in to find out where, or go follow, I guess.
What a tease. What a pro.
I'm not going to tell you where, but the other thing I'll say to your point is like, man, picking teams out of the NFC is really difficult, right? Because it's very obvious in the AFC, but in the NFC, you're looking at the Lions, the Packers, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Eagles, the Niners, the Bucks are still in the mix. And actually like putting those teams in order right now is extremely difficult. I think the Eagles are capable of a ceiling that is at the top of that group, but we need to see some consistency, and I'd like to see more pass rush down. That's the thing that concerns me right now. So yeah, I think they're just set in the NFC East the way things have gone with their competition, so you feel good about that. But as far as like the broader NFC goes, there's some pretty not just good but balanced teams that they're competing with.
Well, the good news is when we talk next, it will be after the Eagles have played the Packers, and they'll be about to play the Lions. So we'll get some short-term answers there at least.
Is going to be in Green Bay for that game, and I've already started thinking about it. And I'm like, damn, I really don't know who I'm going to pick. That's going to be an absolute hoss fight. I can't wait.
Although my NFL schedule complaint is, why do we have a Monday night game after the bye? It like. Don't you want to save that? It's for show purposes, it's like, an extra day of nothing to talk about. But that's
your problem, not mine.
That's Rogers. That's me and Rogers' disagreement. All right. Thank you, Mina Kimes of ESPN. Check out the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny and Mina wherever she is. Thank you so much, Mina. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Good to see you.
All right. Back with
By the
more
way,
PHLY.
Fans are mad at me for saying they should throw Diggs and crossers to AJ Brown today. I'm not saying I'm like it's there because I put like add him if you're gonna use play action. He was literally the greatest play action receiver in the NFL for 3 years running.
Right.
Like
Yes.
use him that way. All
There
right.
seems to be absolutely no reason that they can't just run the offense they ran last week with AJ getting some of those balls. Absolutely.
How many times was he wide ass open, just bodying dudes over the middle of the field? Anyways,
Well,
that's
I mean, it is interesting. He's a different stylistic receiver than he was in Tennessee, and he's still like at the same level of per snap production.
yeah. He's
It's
still as
insane.
good. Every week I asked for something. I asked for more RPOs and more slide RPOs. The Eagles gave me the slide RPO touchdown. This is now my new thing that I'm asking for. AJ Brown in breakers, deep in breakers. That's what I want. Kevin Patuglo, I'm talking to you.
Patullo, Sirianni, Jeffrey Lurie, we know you're watching, and find out what Mina needs you to do on offense in a couple weeks. Thank you so much, Mina.
Fall always feels like a reset. Between back to school, busier routines, and shorter days, finding time to cook can be tough, especially if you don't just eat raw human meat like me. That's why my friends love Factor. Their chef prepped, dietitian approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious no matter how hectic the season gets. You get more variety, more meals. You can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. I use this, and so should you. Eat smart at factormeals.com/PHLY50 off and use code PHLY50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code PHLY50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. And from there, I'll tell you about our friends at Rothman, because when I was lifting up cars and pushing over buildings, I hurt my back. And where did I go to get it fixed? Rothman Orthopedics, because Rothman Orthopedics is here to help you get back to the life you love. Their team of specialists treats all kinds of orthopedic issues, from everyday strains to long-term joint pain, with care that's efficient, effective, and close to home. Don't let pain keep you sidelined. Schedule an appointment today at rothmanortho.com/PHLY. Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility, our mission. Back on the PHLY Eagles podcast, I'm disgraced former Pro Football Hall of Fame CEO David Baker, joined by the great Zach Berman of The Athletic. Zach, how you doing?
Doing great, enjoying this. I'm sorry to see that we're already at 2:58.
Well,
Time flies when you're having
we
fun.
got a little bit extra time for you.
In what?
We're not there yet. Don't worry about it. Let's get to some of the super chats from the sickos who are here and happy to see you back. Joe Rockhead says, "Where have you been, ZB?"
I write for The Athletic.
You do videos over there too, I see.
Yeah, I'm doing videos. I'm really trying to use the talent that I've tried to build here at PHLY there in terms of the videos, and I do a weekly show, or I'm a weekly guest on Philly Special with Shil Kapadia.
Best host in the city, that guy.
Well, he appeals. He's for a national. He's a national writer, or a national host.
Not
but,
that show though.
Bo Wolf is terrific. Bo Wolf's the best host in the city. But Shield's
delicate here.
No, Shield's incredible. Shield's incredible too. I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I've only worked. It's like Dan Klecko catching touchdown passes from Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Right? You can't beat that. You like that in that comparison?
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two Hall of
like
Famers.
Mike Lombardi working with
No,
Bill Walsh and Bill Belichick.
I hope not. I'm staying away from that analogy.
Another writer, just like
yeah. I use laptops.
All right, we got more questions from the sickos and about Leap Year, which is available wherever books are sold, coming to you in Baker Time. Dr. Prince Blue, Mr. Berman says, Bigger treason, ZB or Jonathan Gannon?
I don't think I committed treason at all. I have great affection for this place and for all the people here, including Julia.
I can understand why Bo doesn't want anything to do with you, though.
I can't
You didn't
actually.
leave him.
I didn't leave him. I think
You
Bo made
left PHLY
Nah,
of your own volition.
Look, Bo's hosting a show with Brandon Graham now. Bo's killing it, honestly.
I didn't say he wasn't succeeding without you.
Okay.
I just said I understand why he might feel like you slapped him across the face.
I'm staying away from that one. I really enjoyed my time here, and I'm very grateful for all the people here.
Devin Stepp says, saw the thumbnail and sprinted in. Welcome back, ZB.
Devin, I appreciate that. I watch the show or listen to the show every day, and yeah, that's how I feel going to watch Bo and EJ.
Yeah, but Devin, if you really want to support the man, get the book.
Yes, please.
Go into his DMs. He'll send you a book.
Yes.
I was talking to a friend of mine, the professor.
He's terrific.
Love that guy.
Yes.
He was telling me about how his son, Evren, is reading Leap Year all day long. It's his favorite book.
Oh, that means more than I can express. Seriously, Professor Selman, I appreciate that.
Until I popped into his bedroom and went, boo! And he's been too scared to read ever since.
That's weird. Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
You ever seen Monsters, Inc.?
I've seen it with my son. Yeah.
They based Sully off me.
That's not nice.
Joe Rockhead says, ZB, thoughts on Jalen Carter's season so far?
Yeah, so he's missed 2 of 8 games, right? Because he effectively missed the first game, and then he was out for that Giants game as well. I think that the 2 best games he's played are the past 2 games. So that's a good. I mean, maybe missing that Giants game gave him a time to heal that shoulder a bit. But I thought the Vikings game and that second Giants game were his best games, and he's been a force. The Eagles keep assists. I know EJ's written about this and talked about it on the show. Jalen Carter, these paper stats might not look good, but his assist totals are high.
He's not getting paid for assists. Give me a break.
Okay,
I tell you what, I'm not knocking on his door because he has a lot of assists.
Fair enough.
Get out of here with assists.
Fair enough.
How many defensive tackles are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because of their assists?
Oh no, he needs to have numbers, but I do think those numbers will come over the course of time. I'm bullish on Jalen Carter's development.
Speaking of coming, who do you expect to come in the second half?
I don't know what that means.
Like Julio once did.
Oh, okay. What trade deadline acquisition? Is that what you're referring to?
No, which player on the team is going to come in the second half? You so used to say Julio's coming.
Okay, so who's coming on? I see what you mean. Okay, so the player who I think will have an emergence in the second half. Well, I mean, relative to the first half number, Saquon, right? That's one player I would say. I think that
Saquon's coming. Heard it here first.
Jalen Hunt and Jalen Carter, their sack numbers will be much different the second half of the season than the first half. I thought Jalen Hunt played a real good game on Sunday, and then I mean I wrote this before the season that Devontae his numbers are going to be so much better than a year ago. You're already seeing that. He has his best production through 8 games, if any point in his career, and I don't see that slowing down.
Polar Jam with the super chat says, does the elevator work today? Did ZB get to sprint up the stairs?
The elevator worked. It was good being on with Bo.
He's not here today.
Okay, it was good. Whoever let me on, because unlike Brandon Graham at the Eagles, my code doesn't work here anymore. So Brandon Graham, his code kept working, and I think he talked about that on the show. So I don't have access to the building or the elevator or anything like that.
Do you think you should?
No, I was making I was bringing in. I was trying to
like a petty complaint about you don't work here anymore. Why should you have the code to get in?
I was answering a question about the elevators.
Jay with the super chat says, ZB, if PHLY added a ballroom, would you have stayed?
So I stay away from all politics stuff. But I can tell you the facilities had nothing to do.
I once was a politician.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dirty money.
Paid myself.
Yeah,
Robbed Peter to pay myself.
the facilities had nothing to do with
Nobody checked.
with
It's great.
the facilities had nothing to do with my decision to accept.
Disgraced politician turned CEO of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. How did they let that happen?
I can't tell you
Because
that.
I scared a boot.
I don't even understand the bit. But I'm impressed that you've done it now for 65
What if
minutes.
they turned it? Not forget about a ballroom. What about a ball pit?
Yeah, that doesn't do it for me. Ball pits are, I mean, they were cool when you were a kid, but now they're kind of unhygienic, right?
I mean, I think they were back then too.
Yeah, but you don't think about that at the time.
Mm.
You just see the fun.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to leap year. I don't know if this is like asking favorite children, but do you have a favorite chapter?
Yeah, well, my favorite chapter is the first chapter, which is in.
I thought you were going to say the next one.
That's the answer for the book. Your favorite book. That's the next one. My favorite. So my favorite chapter takes you inside the winning locker room and the Super Bowl party, which I was fortunate to attend with Bo. But that was real cool because in this job you want to be, the eyes, the ears, in this case, the nose and the mouth.
You got it.
Well, I mean, you're getting
Who
sprayed.
did you make out with in the locker room?
No, you get the champagne was spraying. I wasn't drinking on the job, but you might, it's that champagne
Who did
spraying.
you lick, you little sicko?
It's a weird comment. And then the nose being the cigar smoke that was there. But yeah,
I
being.
remember that Bo got a lit cigarette to the ear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did it cause a scar?
It was a painful couple days.
Yeah. So so was that dry cleaning bill for the cigar smoke, right? But
And all those lipstick stains.
no, but so I think that first chapter, I was proud of how that came alive because I had so many minutes. I was going to say hours, minutes of cell phone video of that locker room and of different angles, and so you're able to kind of see things that in the moment I wasn't kind of writing about, and kind of putting that together, and then you're able to kind of get the lyrics to the song and the cigars and the alcohol and the joy of that moment and the different characters around the room. So I really like that chapter, and I thought the bye-week chapter, you learn a lot about kind of the changes in the team during that week. And then I thought too the week in New Orleans leading into the Super Bowl, and especially having using the team footage from the Super Bowl speeches, but also kind of what was going on and using flight logs to kind of document the time that they took off, the time that they landed, the type of plane that they were on,
Airplane.
And different things like that. I actually didn't have it in the book, but I was gonna put. I heard about a few of the restaurants that Jeffrey Lurie went to. I was gonna put that in. So yeah.
Any changes to his bio?
Yeah, well, so there was a story about Jeffrey Lurie in the Sport Business Journal, and if you missed it, you can see it in the Eagles Media Guide.
Right, but I mean, in his favorite restaurants.
Oh no,
because I remember you always keep track of that.
I always do. Yeah, he's got great taste, by the way. My favorite restaurant in Philly is on his list. So,
but you don't live in the city anymore.
I don't live in the city anymore, but I bet I live the same distance to that restaurant than like driving that as you do.
Well, I live in Canton, Ohio, so probably not.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
What was my question?
Yeah, so my favorite parts. So those are my favorite parts.
Oh yes, my question. So the first chapter.
Yeah.
Was it the first one that you wrote?
No. Good question. Good question. You know what? I didn't finish it, but it was the first 1,000 words in that chapter. Yeah, I did start with that to kind of give me some writing momentum, but I didn't finish it because I want
Uncle Mo on your side.
Yeah, because I wanted to have a thread through the book. So I actually finished that chapter The last thing I did was finish that chapter.
Oh, it was the first thing you started, and then the last thing you finished.
Yes.
That's
well,
kind of,
yeah,
that's kind of fun. That's a little poetic.
yeah. Other than like the intro and the epilogue. Yep.
Okay. If you had, I know you were sprinting.
Yeah, 10 weeks
to get this bad boy out. What an impressive endeavor.
Thank you.
If you had more time on your side, what would have been different about the book version that way?
Yeah. So in my outline, I actually had 25 cutaway chapters on different players and figures around the team, and I had to condense that based on time and space because actually, if it got to a certain number of words, they would have had to print. The printing cost would have been. I don't need to get into all that.
Oh,
but,
let's talk. I like the business.
No, yeah. So I had to keep it to a certain amount of words there, but I really take pride in humanizing these people and humanizing, when I say these people, the players and the coaches and the executives. And I would have liked to have more than 10. And in hindsight, I could have made some of the chapters shorter. I probably got, there's probably too much game detail, or there might be some game detail that can be taken out.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Stop beating yourself up about the book that could have been.
Well, no, but
this is the book you made. It's wonderful.
yeah, thank you. But I'm really proud of the finished product, and I do think the game details, in a lot of cases, are like pertinent, and I should say too what
the game details are important. I mean, you're not writing this book, correct me if I'm wrong, for people to read right now and never remember again. You're writing this book as a piece of history
well said.
For a 2-year-old Eagles fan who's going to grow up and in 10 years wants to learn more about the Super Bowl championship team.
Exactly. Or if you want to open up to a particular chapter, I forgot about that game. Like I really enjoyed writing the book on Saquon's leap. That's the Jacksonville game, and there's some cool details in there. But I think what I need to give, and I gave credit in the acknowledgments. Well, first off, to Bo Wolf and Julia and a lot of the fine people here at PHLY, but also, and I should have mentioned Fran in there. That actually haunts me to this day. I feel bad about that, Fran. I love you, Fran.
No wonder he's not here today.
I love you, Fran. But the Eagles Entertainment was a big part of this book. There were NFL Films. They're technically the ones who are filming it, but being able to use the on-field audio video, there's so much more content now than there was when the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017, and I think that really makes those chapters come alive.
Is there a little nuggy nug that you want to share that people may not know?
Yeah, well, yeah. So the post-game locker room, if you recall, in 2017, Doug Peterson gave a speech. And Malcolm Jenkins gave a speech, right? And if you read the first chapter of Underdogs, you would see that, verbatim what those speeches were. Well, there were no speeches this year. We were in the locker room basically the whole time, right?
I was not there.
Well, okay, Bo and I were in the locker room, and there were no speeches. And I was fascinated by this. Like Nick Sirianni, you would think this is a guy who's been, I don't want to. He takes walks during the summer and thinks about what like particular speeches are going to be in particular moments. You win the Super Bowl. This is like made out of a movie. The coach giving that speech. There was no speech. And I asked Nick why there was no speech, and his answer's in this book.
Oh, that's a pro tease, a tease.
Trying to learn from Mina. She's outstanding. National reporter. That's a good place to try to get to.
Yeah. Okay, settle down, bookman.
Bookman.
How does a book deal come together?
Yeah, so a book like this, by the way, you need to have the deal in place before the Super Bowl, really, because you start writing, basically
talk about getting over your skis.
Yeah, the day you get home,
your britches.
I have 10 weeks to write this book, right? So if I'm spending 4 weeks trying to get a book deal, it's going to put me behind the 8 ball. You need to get it out to the publishers early summer. Oh, I'm sorry, out to the printers early summer. So it publishes and prints late summer, is in bookstores in August. It goes on sale in September. That's a very truncated timeline there. You don't have a day to waste. So the conversations start before the Super Bowl. And so I had a book deal contingent on them winning. Interestingly, when they were there in 2022, I had a book deal contingent on the Eagles winning. the Eagles lost that game, and actually the publishers then honored the same book deal. If I wrote the franchise, which is back there, which is on the 25-year period of the team, but the Eagles won, and it's not lost on me, by the way, that in the dedication, which is to my wife and 2 children, I wrote that Reed and Sloan make us feel like we won 2 Super Bowls since 2017. And it's not lost on me that my son only knows a world in which the Eagles win Super Bowls, right? The first 51 years, had I covered the franchise then, the Eagles made 2 Super Bowls during that period. They did not win 1. Since then, they've made 3 Super Bowls, won 2. I'm fortunate to be covering the team during this period. It's not lost to me that I have the opportunity to write these books because the Eagles win these Super Bowls. But so that's the process there. And then, I learned kind of best practices throughout the season or from the first time. So throughout the season, I was able to kind of keep notes, think about this. And I get asked, when did you think this was a possibility? For me, it was the drive up from Baltimore. That's when I knew if the 2017 team, I thought after that Carolina game, they had a chance to win. When the Eagles out physicaled the Ravens down in Baltimore, which you don't usually see, I was like, man, now this team could win. I didn't know if the Lions were going to get knocked off. I thought the Lions were going to be a big contender for the Eagles. But I thought then that the Eagles were legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
What was the biggest hang up in the book negotiations?
The biggest hang up in the book negotiations.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
I'm trying to think the biggest hang up in the book negotiations. I hate to say money, but I mean that's not.
But are we talking
that's
advance? Are we talking like how much of the
this is
percentage you get after a certain number? What are we talking?
I was always told don't talk about politics, religion, or money in public, and we're in public here. But speaking generally,
if you don't answer this, I'll ask you one of the other ones.
Okay. Speaking, I don't want to talk about politics or religion. Speaking generally, I mean, I would say the royalties, because I think a lot of writers would say the advance, but in my case, I was interested in royalties because if you sell enough books, that can start to pay for itself. So,
well, let's get those books sold. Yeah. Let's get those royalties coming in.
Please.
How does your wife feel about this book being done? And if the Eagles win the Super Bowl again, what happens then?
Yeah, so she, I think
you are who you are, man.
Yeah, she knows who she married, but she weaves. She thinks my next book should be a children's book. We read a lot of books to the kids, and the kid, Reed just had his book fair at school, and he said to me, he said, Dad, you should call Scholastic and write a book for them so they can sell it at the bookstore or at the book fair. Sorry to give free pub there to, but yeah. So I think that I enjoy. There's like a certain. I'll admit there's a certain dopamine hit when a book comes out and you get people buying it and reading it. And if I've gone to bookstores and seen people like look at it, it's like owning a pizza shop and seeing people enjoy your pizza, right? That's a pretty gratifying feeling. So I don't want to say I won't write.
What if you were there and you saw someone pick it up and then put it down?
I would ask them, what kept you from going to the counter? So, it's similar to, and not by no means am I like comparing myself to AJ Brown. I mean, AJ Brown's a Hall of Famer. But
we'll see.
But in AJ's case, it's like he said like winning the Super Bowl wasn't as like, it felt good for a second. And then it's like, you want to go back and do it again, or you want to put your stamp on it. And so the idea of like starting from zero and coming out with this is a really fun process. When you're in it, it's aggravating, and I probably am not the best version of myself, which is why this offseason, I don't think I'll be writing another book. I've written 2 in the past 3 years. But I really, but I won't like do false modesty here. It is awesome, like holding the finished product, and that's and like to know that my kids have this in their room is it warms my heart.
Okay, last question. Let's think about Jeffrey Lurie.
Yes.
Dear friend of mine.
Is he?
Love the guy.
Okay.
We've shared some meals together.
Who did most of the eating?
Well, I was eating the waiters.
Okay.
He's more of a food guy.
Yeah.
I'm more of a human guy.
That's a weird thing to say. You actually got me that time. Okay.
What do you think Jeffrey Lurie thinks about the state of the team at the moment? How patient do you think he'll be about this team moving forward? And do you think that he believes this is like what the team should be in perpetuity?
Well, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I think Jeffrey Lurie is optimistic about this team. I think he sees the investment that he's made and like the amount of high quality star caliber players that they have. Yeah, I mean, and to be 6-2 and in the thick of it, I think he's especially bullish on Jalen Hurts. I think that in that organization, if you were to do like a power ranking of people who are highest on Jalen Hurts, I would probably put Jeffrey Lurie on that list. And his opinion is probably the one that matters the most. I think he probably looks at the AJ Brown situation. I'm careful to call it that because I don't want to sound like a talk radio host here. I mean, they're 6-2. AJ's been here for 3+ years. They've been in the Super Bowl twice, won the Super Bowl once. The down year, they had 11+ wins, and he's been a 2-time Pro Bowl, 2-time All-Pro during that time. They've done okay with AJ, but I think he probably views this as like, this is Nick's job. Like Nick's here to manage the personalities. Like that's what makes Nick. That's why they gave Nick the contract extension. Not to take away from Nick, but it's not like these great schemes that he's bringing. It's his leadership and his ability to manage personalities. And so I imagine he's looking at that. And yeah, I think Jeffrey believes that this is a team that is built for the long haul. When he looks at the amount of young players that they have on defense, the picks that they've hit, the draft picks that they have upcoming, and the way they allocate resources, and Jeffrey, who is he's part of the owners that are very involved in the media deal. I'm sure he knows what the money that's coming into the league in the coming years, and I think the Eagles are well positioned for that. My guess is that if we were to talk about the franchise, like what's a big change for the franchise coming up, I still think the stadium deal. We did shows during the summer about this. I think the stadium is probably the most fascinating thing to watch, and outside of the football team, I think that's probably where Jeffrey's thinking about like the direction of the franchise.
Nick or Jalen, who lasts longer?
Jalen. Now, yeah, I'm still saying Jalen for that.
In bed.
I'm staying far away.
I'm sorry, I
from
couldn't
that
help
one.
myself.
I'm staying far away from that one. Yeah, I mean, quarterbacks tend to have more staying power than coaches. Number one. Now, like the reason I'm hesitant there is like if something were to ever happen and like Tanner McKee went in or something like that and forced, but no,
I was speaking my language.
No, but I think Jalen Hurts is going to be here for a long time.
Okay, some more super chats before we hit the road here. Joe Rockhead, ZB, what is your best recommendation to buy the book? We already went over this.
Yeah, you can message
Hit 'em
me.
up in the DMs.
Also, I have some book signings coming up, including one this weekend at the Barnes and Noble. I believe it's in.
Is it Barnes and Noble or Noble and Barnes?
I believe it's the Oxford Valley one, and I have a handful of fun book signings coming up in a few weeks. I have one in New Hope, and so I have one in Wayne coming up on Small Business Saturday. So
SBS.
So make sure that you follow me on all my social mediums, and I
What
will
are those handles?
ZBerm on Twitter and Blue Sky, and then on Instagram Z_Berman. But
What about Truth Social?
I don't have that. Do you?
Yeah, I'm big there.
Okay, but if
To be fair, I'm big everywhere.
but if you're interested in,
I mean, everywhere.
if you send me a message on DM or email, I'm happy to discuss with you ways to get the book.
All
Also, it's great seeing fans on the road. Fans have reached out. I went to, I'm sorry to the sickos this past week. My son had a football game. that I was caught up before the game, so I wasn't there typical time before the game.
Proud of you for that.
And thank you. And I couldn't. And then at halftime, I had to make up some things that I missed before the game, so I wasn't able to see the sickos who
You
were.
never make something up as a reporter. You know that.
You know what I mean? I had to. There were some things that I had to fill out to do during halftime, and I wasn't able to see sickos who were at the game. I'm in the Discord. I love talking to the viewers of the show. But in Minnesota, I met a number of fans. I know some games upcoming in Green Bay. There's some fans reaching out. So eager to, if you travel, reach out to me and we'll connect at a game as well.
All right. What a pleasure to have you here in the PHLY studios.
This was awesome. Thank you.
Mr. Berman. The book is Leap Year, available wherever you can get your books, but go to his DMs. That's where he gets the most money. Let's be fair. Follow him on social media. Check out the Ringers Philly special. Check him out at The Athletic. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. We're back tomorrow, Jamie and Rich, and then Fran and the Professor on Friday as the Eagles head into the bye. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Mina Kimes. And most of all, the super chat from Alex is correct. Let's close this bad boy out with a Zach.
Thank you.
Zach. Boo!
You got me again. Thanks.
As always, I'm gonna eat you!
We all silly like the mayor.